Hey yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be discussing the best goalies from every single NHL team. So keep in mind guys, this is just my opinion, who I think's the best goalie in their respective histories of their franchises. So yeah guys, we're gonna kick it off. Let's start it off alphabetically. Starting with Anaheim, I'm gonna say Jean-Sebastien Giguère. Won the Conn Smythe in 2003, even though his team lost in the Stanley Cup Finals. However, he did manage to win the cup with the Ducks in 2007 with Chris Pronger, Niedermayer, and a young Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlaf on the team. No doubt, probably the best goalie for Anaheim in their history. John Gibson may be coming up as the new king for Anaheim, but we'll have to wait in the future to see for that. But moving on to the Arizona Coyotes, I'm probably going to give it to Mike Smith. Between him and Nikolai Khabibulin, there's going to be a lot of honorable mentions and a few ties in this, because it's really hard to decipher which goalies have really done the most for their team. I mean, so for Arizona is one of those teams that it's really hard to choose, because their organization hasn't really had a lot of success, and Mike Smith has basically been their star player for the last 3 years until getting traded to Calgary, of course. But I'm probably going to give it to Mike Smith. Moving on to Boston, again, very tough, but I'm going to have to go with Gary Shevers. Led Boston to 2 Stanley Cup runs and had a record of 229, 101, and 74 OT losses. Tuukka Rask, again, if he can win a Stanley Cup or 2, he could probably overtake Gary Shevers in that spot, but I'm probably going to give it to him for Boston. Moving on to the Buffalo Sabres, my man, the Dominator, baby, Dominik Hasek. Oh my god, no need to explain why he is on this list. I mean, won 6 Vezina trophies, he's won 2 Hart trophies as a goalie, and 2 Jenkins trophies as well. I mean, nothing much to say, but the Dominator, baby, taking it for Buffalo. I didn't put him on Detroit because Detroit was a little bit when he was older, so I decided to keep him on Buffalo for that. Moving on to the Calgary Flames, again, another tough choice. Obviously, there's Mike Vernon and Kiprusoff. I'm probably going to choose Mike Vernon for this one. He played 13 seasons with Calgary, won them the cup back in 1989. Unfortunately, Kiprusoff never won the cup with the Flames. Could have in 2004, 2005, but unfortunately they couldn't beat Tampa. However, I'm probably going to give it to Mike Vernon on the Calgary Flames. Moving on to Carolina, again, a team not really with the best goaltender. Cam Ward won a Stanley Cup for Carolina, so obviously got to give it to Cam Ward. Great season. Definitely fell off his game as he ages. But moving on to the Chicago Blackhawks, I'm probably going to give it to Glenn Hall. Won the Vezina Trophy. Played on multiple All-Star teams. And yeah, I mean, Glenn Hall, definitely a legend for the Chicago Blackhawks. So he is going to be my pick for the goalie. Moving on to the Colorado Avalanche, this again is another obvious one. Patrick Waugh, in my mind, second to third best goalie all time, probably behind Martin Brodeur. What he hasn't done, I don't know, he's done it all. So Patrick Waugh, very obvious one for the Colorado Avalanche. Again, moving on to Columbus, another obvious one. We got Sergei Bobrovsky, my boy, good old Bob. Definitely their leading goaltender for their franchise. Again, Columbus hasn't had a strong organization ever since they came into the NHL, but Bobrovsky won the Vezina Trophy in his very first season in Columbus. So, yeah, I'm going to pick Bob for the Blue Jackets. Moving on to Dallas. Again, another tight one between goalies. Marty Turco and Ed Balfour. I'm going to go with my boy Eddie Balfour. Good old Ed, man, just third all-time in wins with 484. So, I mean, I don't know how you can't really give it to him. Also won the Stanley Cup with Dallas in 99. Again, Marty Turco, another honorable mention, but my boy Ed is going to take that spot in Dallas. Moving on to Detroit. Now, again, this is a very tough one. I wanted to pick Terry Sawchuk. He won the Vezina 3 times as well as the Calder. I might be a little bit biased with this one, not gonna lie, but I'm gonna pick Chris Osgood. I've always been a Chris Osgood fan. Went a total of 401 wins, 216 losses, and 95 overtime losses. So not too bad of a goalie stat. Again, was on a very overpowered team in the Detroit Red Wings. But yeah, I've always loved the way Chris Osgood has played his game, and no doubt in my mind, he's one of the greatest goalies to also play in the game. Going forward with the Edmonton Oilers, again, another very obvious one. Grant Fuhr won 5 championships with the team, and with the team they had, honestly, how could you not win? Very obvious pick for Grant Fuhr. Moving on to Florida, this one, honestly, I would say is a 50-50 split between Luongo and Van Beesbrook. Definitely they're 2 main goalies of their franchises. Luongo has definitely accomplished more in his career, but still has not won that Stanley Cup, and I think that's going to haunt him when he does retire. So I'm honestly going to give that one a 50-50 split. It's hard to say because Luongo also, his best years was in Vancouver. So, I mean, yeah, I am going to give that a 50-50 split between those 2 guys. So, moving on to the LA Kings, my boy Jonathan Quick, man. 2 Stanley Cups, a Conn Smythe, and he's quick. Jonathan Quick, man, did it against all the odds. No doubt LA's best goalie all time. Moving on to the Minnesota Wild, again, another tough one. I want to say Nicholas Backstrom, but I would say, again, it's a tie between him and Devin Dubnyk. Devin Dubnyk hasn't been there long enough to really solidify that spot as being their best goalie ever. Again, Minnesota has always been weak in their goaltending. So, yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say between those 2 guys who I can pick. So I'm probably just going to do a split. I think Devin Dubnyk, if he has 2 more really good seasons, he could definitely be their best goalie ever. Moving on to Montreal. I don't know. I really don't. I want to say Patrick Watt, Ken Dryden, Carey Price. Who do you pick? Honestly, it's way too hard. I'm just going to do like a 6-way tie there. I mean, there's just too much good talent. I mean, Carey Price is no doubt kept Montreal in games, but historically, there's just way too much going on in Montreal. So I'm just going to give it to all those guys. Yeah. Moving on to Nashville, we got our boy Pekka Rinne. He's been there for a while. Vezina nomination this year. Led Nashville to the President's Trophy this year. Unfortunately, they got knocked out early. But, yeah, no doubt the best goalie for Nashville in their history. Martin Brodeur for New Jersey. And what record hasn't Brodeur broken? Most wins, most losses. Literally everything you can think of. So Brodeur, in my mind, the best goalie of all time. No question about it. Moving on to the New York Islanders, I'm going to go with Billy Smith. Won 4 Stanley Cups in a row. I don't know what else to say about that other than it's impossible to do in the modern age. It was impossible back then. So, yeah, New York Islanders, Billy Smith going to be the best goalie for them. New York Rangers, again, a tough one, but I'm going to go with Lundqvist. I feel like Lundqvist has definitely achieved more with the Rangers than other goalies like Mark Richter, but, you know, I think not beating the Kings in 2014 and getting that Stanley Cup will really hurt his career more than people think. Lundqvist may be one of the greatest goalies to never win the Stanley Cup, which is a very big shame. Him and Pekka Rinne, both those guys, really big shame if they can't win a Stanley Cup. So, moving on to the Ottawa Senators. Now, not gonna lie, I didn't really know too much about this guy until I looked really into it. But Patrick Lalime, a 146 10 and 30 record That's absolutely filthy. I didn't really recognize that till I looked at the stats on the hockey statistics page, but um, yeah, he basically had 25 or more wins in each of his 4 full seasons with Ottawa. So, again, Craig Anderson, not that great, to be honest, anymore. Dealing with a lot of personal stuff, but I'm probably going to give it to Patrick Lime for Ottawa. Moving on to Philly, um, Bernie Parent, probably, I would probably go with, obviously, there's Ron Hextall, but um, he's gotten 2 Stanley Cups, a Vezina Trophy, and yeah, he was basically their franchise player for quite a while. So, yeah, I'm probably gonna go with Bernie Parent for the Philadelphia Flyers. And the Pittsburgh Penguins are up next. Again, this might be biased, but I really don't care what anybody thinks of this. Fleury, no doubt, going to be one of the greatest goalies. Again, in the Stanley Cup final. Fleury versus Ovi. Although he is on Vegas, you just gotta look at Fleury. 3 Stanley Cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins, multiple Team Canada appearances in the Olympics, just has done so much for Pittsburgh, and no doubt in my mind has been their #1 goalie for that franchise, no doubt. Moving on to the Sharks, this is a real OG guy right here, Evgeny Nabokov, very solid goalie for the Sharks. They never made it past the Western Conference Finals, but he was their #1 guy for 7 or 8 seasons before getting traded to Tampa Bay and the New York Islanders. So for San Jose, I'm going to go with Nabokov. Maybe Martin Jones if they can make another finals appearance and possibly win the cup. Maybe Martin Jones, but other than that, I'm probably going to stick with Nabokov. Had absolutely crazy saves. Moving on to the St. Louis Blues, I'm probably going to go with Cujo on this one. Maybe, I was really debating on putting Cujo on Toronto, but of course that was after. I think St. Louis is where he really excelled in his career, especially in the playoffs, and how he could really steal those games. So I'm probably going to go with my boy Cujo for St. Louis. Moving on to Tampa, Nikolai Habibulin. You got to give it to Habibulin. I mean, obviously, there's Bishop, there's Vasilevsky, but Nikolai Habibulin is the goalie that won them the Stanley Cup back in 2004, 2005. So, I'm probably going to go with Habibulin, Bishop, Vasilevsky. If they were to go back to Tampa Bay, or I guess play a little bit more, maybe they could surpass them, but I'm going to stick with Habibulin on that one. The Toronto Maple Leafs, Johnny Bower, no doubt last goalie for Toronto to win the cup for him back in '67, and he had 209 wins. So, yeah, my mind, Johnny Bower, best goalie for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Coming near the end here, we got the Vancouver Canucks. My boy Roberto Luongo, Robbie Lou. You got to give it to him. Made the Stanley Cup Finals in 2011. Unfortunately, could not seal it off in Game 7, but Luongo definitely, him and Corey Schneider, 2 of the main guys for Vancouver, but Luongo definitely their best goalie of all time. Moving on to Washington, again, another debate between past and present, Kolzig and Holtby. For now, I'm going to say Kolzig. Holtby still has plenty of time to solidify his career, his legacy, and maybe even if Washington wins the cup this year, I might even give the edge to Holtby. But for now, I'm going to say Olaf Kolzig, just for the fact that he's played for Washington for so long. So, moving on to Winnipeg, again, another tough one. I want to say on Andre Pavlik, but Connor Hellebuck's looking way too good. If Connor Hellebuck stays the way he is right now, no doubt going to be their best goalie of all time. Look at the season he had now. He has so much potential, and I'm going to be a little bit biased. I'm going to say Connor Hellebuck is probably their best goalie ever. I mean, Winnipeg never really made the finals with their goalie, any other goalie. I mean, when they did make it, they got swept by Anaheim 4-0. So I'm gonna say Connor Hellebuck. He's definitely got a lot of potential, and I see bright things for him in the future. And lastly, we got the Vegas Golden Knights. Do I really need to explain this one? Literally, the man that's not human, my boy Marc-Andre Fleury. You gotta love the guy, man. Literally on a team from the beginning of the year who statistically on paper was supposed to finish bottom 5, ends up going to the final currently with a 1-0 lead over Washington. Just insane to think about. Marc-Andre Fleury, legend in the making, trying to chase that 4th Stanley Cup. Who knows? We're gonna have to wait and see for the Stanley Cup final to finish. But other than that, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for the list of the best goalies all time. Let me know what you guys think, who I maybe should have replaced with who in the list. But I would love to know your guys' opinion in the comments down below, so make sure you guys let me know your opinions. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me know what I should do for any other videos, and I will be happy to make some more. So other than that, guys, it's been your boy Apex. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.